I did not expect to spend the most important day of my career sitting in a cold metal chair, staring at 6 alien faces that all wanted me gone. My name is Elena Reyes. I am a diplomat for the human delegation, and on that day, I was the only human inside the great chamber of Station Varun. The station floated in neutral space, far from any homeworld, built exactly for meetings like this one, meetings where the wrong word could start a war. The room was shaped like a circle, with high glass walls that showed the stars outside. The light was pale blue, calm, almost peaceful. But nothing about the room felt peaceful. 6 species sat around the table with me. Some had smooth gray skin, some had long limbs that bent in ways human limbs never could. One species breathed through gill-like slits on their necks, and every breath they took sounded like a small warning. At the head of the table sat the Korath. If you have never heard of the Korath, let me explain quickly. They are a proud species, strong, tall, with skin like dark stone, and eyes that glow faintly gold when they are angry. They do not trust easily. They value strength, loyalty, and instinct above almost everything else. Words mean little to them. Actions mean everything. And on that day, the Korath did not trust humanity at all. "You ask us to share defense technology," said Thal Korvith, the lead Korath ambassador. His voice was low and heavy, like stone grinding against stone. "But we do not know your kind. We do not know your hearts. Words are cheap, Ambassador Reyes, even kind words." I kept my hands still on the table, though my heart was pounding. "I understand your caution," I said. "But we are asking for peace, not war. We only want cooperation between our peoples." "Cooperation," Thal repeated, as if tasting a strange food. "Your species is young, impulsive, unpredictable. We have seen this before, with other young species. They ask for peace, and then they take more than they were given." I opened my mouth to answer, but before I could speak, alarms began to scream through the station. Red light replaced the calm blue. Every guard in the chamber reached for their weapon. My own heart jumped into my throat. A voice came through the speakers, sharp and urgent. "Security breach. Sector 7. All personnel remain calm. Repeat, remain calm. Remain calm." As if anyone in that room could remain calm with weapons already drawn. Thal Korvith stood so fast his chair scraped loudly against the floor. His eyes glowed brighter, gold turning to fire. "What is this?" he demanded, looking at his own guards. "What has happened?" One of his guards touched a device on his wrist, listening to a private channel. His face went pale, a strange shade for Korath skin, which usually stayed dark and steady no matter the situation. "Ambassador," the guard said, voice shaking slightly. "It is the Hesk, the young one. It has escaped its chamber." The room went silent. Even the diplomats from other species, who did not fully understand Korath customs, seemed to sense that something serious had just happened. I did not know what a Hesk was yet, but I could feel the fear in the room like a physical weight. "Impossible," Thal said. "The Hesk chamber is guarded by 12 of our finest. No one can pass through that security. No one." "It did not go through the guards," the other guard said. "It went around them, through the vents. It has already passed 3 checkpoints. Ambassador, it is heading this way, toward the great chamber." Thal's hands curled into fists. "Seal the doors, now." But it was too late. The heavy chamber doors, doors built to stop weapons fire, doors that had never failed before, suddenly groaned. A small shape darted between the closing gap, just before they sealed shut with a heavy metallic thud. Every guard in the room raised their weapon at once. I froze in my seat, unsure whether to duck under the table or stay perfectly still. My instincts screamed at me to move, but something about the shape darting across the floor made me pause. It was small, about the size of a large dog, though its body was shaped differently, more like a cross between a wolf and something reptilian, with soft gray fur along its back and smooth scales along its legs. Its eyes were large and round, a deep amber color, nothing like the sharp gold of adult Korath eyes. It moved fast, but not with aggression. It moved like something searching, something scared. "Do not shoot," Thal shouted, his voice cracking with something I had never heard from a Korath before. "Fear. That is a Hesk pup. If it dies here, it will mean disaster for every species in this room." The guards lowered their weapons slightly, though their hands still trembled with tension. The pup weaved between legs and chairs, sniffing the air, its ears pressed flat against its skull. Every alien in the room tried to step back from it, as if it carried some kind of danger, though it looked more frightened than dangerous to me. Then, without warning, it turned its head directly toward me. I did not move. I did not breathe. The pup's amber eyes locked onto mine, and for one long second, the entire chamber seemed to hold its breath with me. Then, faster than I could react, it darted across the open floor, past 2 Korath guards who reached out too late to grab it, and leaped directly into my lap. I gasped, and instinctively wrapped my arms around it to keep it from falling. Its small body trembled against my chest, its heart beating rapidly beneath the soft fur. For a moment, nobody in the room moved. Nobody spoke. The silence was so complete that I could hear the pup's quick breathing and the faint hum of the station's engines far below us. Then Thal Corvith spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Impossible. I looked up at him, still holding the trembling pup. I am sorry, I said carefully. I did not mean for this to happen. I will give it back to you immediately. But Thal did not move to take the pup from me. None of the Korath guards moved either. They only stared, their golden eyes wide, their weapons now lowered completely, forgotten in their hands. Ambassador Reyes, Thal said slowly, do you understand what a Hesk is? I shook my head. No, I only just heard the word. Thal took a step closer, his heavy footsteps echoing in the silent chamber. The Hesk is sacred to our people. It is not merely an animal. It is a living judge of truth. From the moment of birth, a Hesk can sense intention. It can sense fear, deception, hidden anger, hidden hatred. It cannot be tricked, and it cannot be trained to lie. This is why our young are kept guarded so carefully. Their judgment matters more than any words spoken in this chamber. I looked down at the pup in my arms. It had stopped trembling now. Its breathing had slowed. It nuzzled its head against my chest, and then it made a sound. It was not a bark, not a growl, not any sound I expected from an animal. It was a low, soft murmur, almost like a hum, rising and falling gently, almost like a song without words. The moment the sound left its mouth, every Korath in the room went rigid. Thal's eyes widened so much I thought they might never close again. The other Korath guards took a step back, and one of them actually lowered himself halfway to the floor, as if beginning to kneel. What? I asked slowly, my voice shaking now too. Does that sound mean? Thal did not answer right away. He seemed to be searching for words, which for a Korath ambassador known for his sharp tongue, was strange to see. That sound, he finally said, is called the Vethka murmur. In all of Korath history, it has only ever been given to one kind of being. What kind? I asked. Packmate, Thal said. Kin. One who is judged, by pure instinct, without deception, to be trustworthy beyond question. It is a sound given between Hesk and their own bonded family. It has never, in recorded history, been given to an outsider. The room was so quiet I could hear my own pulse in my ears. Never? I repeated. Never, Thal said again, and this time, his voice cracked slightly, betraying an emotion I did not expect from him. Wonder. Ambassador Reyes, do you understand what this means? I looked down at the pup, who had now closed its eyes, resting peacefully against me, as if it had found exactly where it belonged. I do not, I admitted honestly. Please explain. Thal walked closer, slower this time, his earlier fear replaced by something like awe. He knelt down beside my chair, bringing himself to eye level with the pup, though he did not try to take it from my arms. Our species does not trust words, he said. Words can be shaped, twisted, used to hide truth. But a Hesk cannot be fooled. It does not care about status, about species, about history between our people. It only feels what is true in a heart, and it has just told every Korath in this room, without hesitation, that your heart holds no hidden threat toward us. I felt something tighten in my throat. I had spent hours preparing speeches, arguments, careful diplomatic language to convince the Korath that humanity meant no harm, and in the end, it was not my words that changed anything. It was a small, frightened animal, choosing to run toward me instead of away. I did nothing to earn this. I said quietly. I only held it because it was scared. That, Thal said, is exactly why it chose you. He turned to the rest of the room, raising his voice so all the other delegates could hear. Let it be recorded, he said, that on this day, in this chamber, the Hesk pup of the Korath royal line gave the Vethka murmur to a human ambassador. Let it be known, across every species present, that this bond cannot be faked, cannot be forced, and cannot be denied. The other alien delegates exchanged glances, some confused, some clearly impressed, though they did not fully understand Korath customs the way the Korath guards did. But they understood enough. They understood that something important had just happened, something that would change the direction of the entire summit. Thal turned back to me, and for the first time since I had entered that chamber, his eyes did not glow with suspicion. They glowed with something closer to respect. Ambassador Reyes, he said, I believe we owe you an apology. We came into this meeting believing your species could not be trusted with power, with technology, with cooperation. We believed your kindness was only a performance, a mask over hidden ambition. He looked down at the pup, still resting peacefully in my arms. But intentions cannot be hidden from a Hesk, and this one has shown us more truth in one small sound than 1,000 speeches ever could. I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes, though I fought to keep my voice steady. Then I hope, I said, that this is the beginning of real trust between our peoples, not because of politics, and not because of fear, but because of this. I gently stroked the pup's soft fur, and it made a small, content sound, curling tighter into my lap. Thal nodded slowly. Yes, he said, because of this. The security team eventually arrived to take the pup back to its chamber, though it took several attempts to convince the pup to leave my arms. When it finally did, it looked back at me one last time, with its large amber eyes, before being carried away gently by its handlers. The negotiations that followed were nothing like the tense, guarded discussions from before. The Korath spoke more openly. They asked real questions instead of testing traps. By the end of that day, we had not only avoided disaster, but had taken the first real steps toward a lasting alliance between our species. Later that night, alone in my quarters aboard the station, I sat by the window and looked out at the endless stars. I thought about the pup, about the sound it made, about how something so small and so simple had done what countless diplomats, treaties, and careful words could not. I still did not fully understand why it had chosen me. Perhaps I never would, but I understood something else instead, something that felt more important. Sometimes, trust cannot be built through clever words or careful strategy. Sometimes, it is built in a single, honest moment, when all pretense falls away, and something innocent looks into your heart and decides, without hesitation, that you are safe. Humanity had spent so long trying to prove itself to the rest of the galaxy, through strength, through technology, through diplomacy. But that day, I learned something that I believe humanity had always known deep down, even if we had forgotten to say it aloud. Sometimes, the greatest proof of who we are is not shown through our achievements. It is shown through the quiet, simple moments, when even the most cautious creature in the galaxy chooses to feel safe in our arms. And as I sat there, watching the stars pass slowly outside my window, I smiled, because for the first time since arriving at Station Varun, I finally believed that peace between our peoples was truly possible. Not because we had proven our strength, but because we had proven our heart.